Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamad Zaihan Rahimi bin Zamdin. My matric number is CD160025. This video was recorded for educational purposes. So today I would like to talk about dfma subject, where my title given is the principle of dfma and its application. But before I'm talking for principle of the dfma, we need to understand what is defined by dfma. dfma is means by design for manufacture and assembly. So design for manufacture and assembly is a subject that talking about a methodology for optimizing an existing product with respect to manufacture and assembly to reduce the number of components or processes of a product, which is this will help in reducing the drawing, reducing the risk of updating the drawing, and decreasing the wrong production when we are reduce the amount of component needed to produce, and we also reducing the storage that need to be produced to storage the excess component, and the last one is reducing the incorrect for assembly. So in dfma we are talking about four main criteria. The first one is conceptualizing, the third one is analyzing, the third one is redesign, and the fourth one is conclusion for dfma. So here I will talk about what is the principle behind dfma. So here we know that dfma have 11 principles that need to be known to be used in producing or upgrading an existing product. The number one is minimizing the number of components. So in minimizing number of components, assembly costs can be reduced, which will follow with the final product that is more reliable because there are fewer components or fewer connections. And the assembly for maintenance and field service is much more easier because of the reduced part, and the automation can be implemented for the part count that has been reduced. So in processing, in work in process is reduced, and there are fewer inventory that needed to control the problems. So for the second principle is use standard commercially available component. What meant by the second principle is design time and effort are reduced because we are using such as a screw that we can found in the grocery or from the company that made it. So it can effectively reduce the time and effort. So the design of custom engineered component can be avoided, and there are fewer part numbers, which inventory control can be facilitated. So the third one is use common part across product lines. There is an opportunity to apply group technology, implementation of manufacturing cells may be possible, quantity discount may be possible. So for the fourth one is design of for ease of part fabrication, the neck shape or near neck shape processes may be feasible because of the geometry shape is simplified and the unnecessary features are avoided. For the fifth principle is design part with tolerance that are within process capability. What I meant by the fifth principle is the tolerance tighter than the process capability should be avoided. Otherwise, additional processing or sortation will be required and a bilateral tolerance should be specified. So for the sixth principle, design the product to be foolproof during assembly. An assembly should be an unambiguous. Components should be designed so they can be assembled only one way. Special geometric features must sometimes be added to component to achieve foolproof assembly. So for the seventh principle is minimizing use of flexible component. Flexible component include parts made of rubber, belts, gaskets, cables, and so on. Flexible components are generally more difficult to handle and assemble. We can see this part for rubber belt and gasket in an car engines where the part of belting are need to be installed in such careful manner to avoid any damage to the part and also to the pulley that are installed with the belt. So the eighth principle is design for ease of assembly. Part features such as chamfers and tapers should be designed on matching parts. Design the assembly using base part to which other components are added. The assembly should be designed so that the components are added from one direction, usually vertically. Threaded fasteners, screw or bolts should be avoided where possible, especially when automated assembly is used. Instead, fast assembly techniques such as snap fits and adhesive bonding should be employed. The number of distinct fasteners should be minimized because using a fastener may be reducing the capability of the component that can sustain damage. For the ninth is using a modular design. Each subassembly should consist of 5 to 15 parts. Maintenance and repair are facilitated. Automated and manual assembly are implemented more readily. Inventory requirements are reduced and the final assembly time can be minimized. The 10th principle, shape parts and products for ease of packaging. What are meant by the 10th principle is the product should be designed so that the standard packaging or carton can be used. We cannot produce a component or a product that too big to be put into the boxes or carton, and where the shape part are not constrained by the shape of boxes. This will make it more compatible with the automated packaging equipment. Shipment to customer can be facilitated with the packaging that has been wrapped beautifully. For the final principle is the 11th principle, which is eliminate or reduce adjustment required for a product. Adjustment are time consuming in assembly. Designing adjustment into the product means more opportunity for out of adjustment condition to arise. As you can see that from the 11 principles that I have explained to you, these are the principles that needed to be complied and to be take actions in order for us to produce a product, or we want to upgrading an existing product to be more compatible and more effective in using for the product. So the application for this principle can be seen in our everyday tool, such as all the 11 principle which has been stated earlier, we can use in making an example in our daily product that we have used in the house, such as a tea set. In a tea set, we have a cup of tea, a saucer, and a steel spoon. These three we can regard as a full assembly of a product, where the cup is made by a ceramic, the saucer are made from ceramic, and the spoon is made from steel. We have to take into consideration where making a product in the shape of cup can avoid from the water spilling from the cup, and the ear for the cup that we holds the cup can, and the ear of the cup can withstand heat, where will not cause any unease feeling to our hand. So in making the cup, we have two parts, which is the cup itself and the ear. To obey the principle that I has mentioned, instead of making a cup that are separated part with the ear, we can reduce the part and processes time by combining the cup with the ear, so we can produce a cup that need a more refined shape, and also the component processing time can be reduced. So here we see that the principle are connected with our daily product, which is in return we are enjoying our lifestyle because of dfma and the principle behind dfma. That's all for me. Thank you.